Okay, so there was a town hall on Thursday night with President Joe Biden. The good news is he got out of the White House, out of Delaware, and addressed issues that pertain to the American people. CNN broadcast the town hall. And I've been saying, so I'm not going to be hypocritical, that Biden has got to get out more. He's got to be heard a little bit more. He's got to start explaining things a little bit better. And I've been a big advocate for that and his administration. To stay consistent with that, he did that on Thursday night. The problem is that it didn't come off very well because of some of the answers that were given in the town hall. And CNN and Fox and CNBC and the AP, they've all done their fact checks. So the information I'm going to be giving you on the fact check side is going to come from CNN, that I think is a fairly friendly group to the Biden administration. I'm going to give you some of the statistics. I have a bunch of video here, and they're short snippets of the town hall that I can now start to talk about as the video goes on. I'll give you a statistic. Biden in 276 days, CNN has reported this now. These are my numbers. In 276 days as being president, President Joe Biden has been out of the White House, either in Delaware at one of his two houses or at Camp David. 108 days, all are part of 108 days out of the 276. That's a 39.1% factor of being out of the White House. And where does it hurt him? When he says that he's been busy and he doesn't have time to get down to the border. I mean, he says this in the town hall. That's a problem. And I'm trying to dissect this. For those of you that are pro-Biden, I'm not pro-Biden, I'm not against Biden, I'm pro-America. And I'm not an ideological guy that's trying to come after Joe Biden because he's a Democrat. It may seem that I'm being pretty harsh on him today because of some of the things that really came out that I think the American public has to talk about. And there's no question in my mind. I've talked to all my Democratic friends over the weekend. They thought it was not great in terms of his performance during this CNN town hall. Let's run the first tape, and it's on tax rates existing today.
IRS data shows that the top 5% of income earners pay 60% of the income taxes in this country. I hear you repeatedly say that the wealthy are not paying their fair share of income taxes. What is the percentage of income that you believe is fair?
Well, I think what's fair is that the present tax code, the highest tax rate is 35%, number one, okay?
All right. Problem number one, fact check by everybody. President Biden, the top tax rate is 37%, not 35%, okay? Now, is that just a slip by him? It is, but when we're talking about taxes, the President of the United States should know what the top bracket is. I know it because I've had to pay it. And what I'm saying to you is that it's 37% as it exists today. The president really should be able to understand that. He should know that as a fact. That's a problem in terms of credibility. Okay. I want to go to the second clip that's involved with the supply chain crisis. Roll the tape.
Is here a student at Loyola University who's originally from Connecticut. She's a Democrat. Anna, what's your question?
President Biden, growing up in a small town, I have been surrounded by small business owners, including my mom, who owns her own interior design business. With the current supply chain crisis, small businesses are in jeopardy of not being able to get products that they need because priority is given to large businesses. Does your administration have any policies or plans in place to aid the current supply chain problem and or to help small businesses that are affected by this?
Yes, on both. But you have it exactly right.
All right, the president says that you have it exactly right. But earlier in, I can't show the whole hour and something, but earlier in the town hall, he admits now that workers now have an advantage over their companies in terms of pay and working conditions, okay? That advantage was created because they were allowed to stay home and collect money. Now, I'm all for the worker, okay? I'm a blue-collar guy growing up by trade. My father was a factory worker. He had to depend on the unions for help when the working conditions weren't right in his factory, okay? But to say now that the workers have an advantage, and he says yes and yes, you know, we've got to get to the middle of the road, because part of this is the whole issue that we're dealing with the supply chain, which is we don't have enough workers, and people in the Biden administration have been paid to stay home. It's not the right angle on this, for sure. Okay, so we get to the third clip, and it's the trucker shortage. Roll the tape.
The railroads and the railheads and the trucks in port ready to move, because I've gotten Walmart and others to say we're going to move stuff off of the port into our warehouses. Which
you're actually talking about having National Guardsmen or women driving trucks?
The answer is yes, if we can't move to increase the number of truckers, which we're in the process of doing.
Okay.
If we did it this moment, we're not.
Okay, so yes, if we can't get the help to move it without the National Guard. Well, here's the problem. Scholars way smarter than me have basically said that the president doesn't have the ability to direct the National Guard into the state of California to implement and use the National Guard without the local government and the state government deciding that's what they want to do. So this whole discussion about the National Guard being able to come in, and I'm looking at that and I'm doing this and doing that, according to constitutionalists or people that, again, are way smarter than I am, Joe Biden as the president doesn't have the ability to deploy them without state and local direction. And so that's not quite accurate what he said. Okay, clip 4 is the American Rescue Plan. Roll the tape.
They saw high inflation going all the way or deep into 2022. Do you think it's going to last for a while?
I don't think so. I don't think it will last, depending what we do. If we stay exactly where we are, yes. If we don't make these investments, yes.
What about gas prices? Because some states are seeing...
Gas prices relate to a foreign policy initiative that is about something that goes beyond the cost of gas. And we're about $3.30 a gallon most places now, when it's up from, was down in the single digits, a dollar plus. And that's because of the supply being withheld by OPEC. And so there's a lot of negotiation that is, there's a lot of Middle Eastern folks want to talk to me. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'm going to talk to them, but the point is, it's about gas production. There's things we can do in the meantime, though.
Do you think there's do you have a timeline for gas prices of when you think they may start coming down?
My guess is you'll start to see gas prices come down as we get by and going into the into next year in 2022. I don't see anything that's going to happen in the meantime that's going to significantly reduce gas prices.
I mean, blaming the gas situation now, which everybody feels it every time they gas up around the country, okay? I mean, gas prices are up significantly, okay? That hits a family of four's pocketbook like nothing else. To blame it on the Middle East is absolutely just not accurate. And it's not me. This is the pundits around the country on both sides. We were energy, we relied only on our own energy the last 2 years of the Trump administration, okay? President Biden decided that he was going to shut down the pipeline. He was going to not allow drilling on federal lands. And what's happened now is we're relying on OPEC, which was the whole reason that we didn't want to rely on OPEC. And he says that a lot of Middle Eastern companies want to talk to him, and he doesn't know if he's going to talk to them. That just didn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. And again, I'm not here to pick on the President of the United States for political reasons, but this is unanimous across all political lines that he does this town hall, but his answers really don't match up to what's actually going on the ground. And the last clip, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about all this. Just roll the clip. All I can say is to this one, wow.
Right here in Baltimore are refusing to comply with city vaccine mandates. I'm wondering where you stand on that. Should police officers, emergency responders be mandated to get vaccines? And if not, should they be stay at home or let go?
Yes and yes. By the way,
I mean, we've covered this one. You know, you're going to demand now the police officers, firefighters. We've already got police shortages in certain places, okay? You take a look at what Florida's doing. Governor Ron DeSantis now is offering a $5,000 bonus for registered police officers that have a good track record in other states to come to his state and be police officers. I mean, this again, in the crisis that we're in, it's just in an attempt to save the ship, we're going to sink it because we can't have all of our internal functions be shut down because of some vaccine mandate and people fighting the mandate. The timing of this is just awful. Now, a criticism to CNN, and I thought overall they did the best they could, okay? So I don't have a problem with the town hall as it relates to CNN, but there wasn't one question about the Afghanistans, about the Afghans and the people in Afghanistan. That's a problem for me. And every show we talk about we're not going to let this die. They don't even ask the president about it, okay? And I think that's terrible. Just think about if you've lost a serviceman in the fight in Afghanistan or you have family members that are still there. Think about how you feel about that. I mean, it really hits very, very close to home. All right, CNN, not Fox now, CNN has fact-checked the town hall. And here are some of the results. Question 1, given that it's been nearly a year into the campaign, you have not been to the southern border. Now, this was a disaster in this town hall. He says, I've been there before, I know it well. Then the president goes on to say, I guess I should go down there. I haven't had a whole lot of time to go down there. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, he spent 108 days out of the White House, either in Delaware or Camp David. He's never technically been to the border in the locations where there are issues. CNN has reported that he was in a motorcade in 2009 that drove by El Paso. That's not being at the border. The border problems are in the state of Texas on the southern side from Brownsville up. Del Rio, Texas. That's where all of these things are occurring. So President Biden, you're only hurting your own cause when you say you've been there, when you say you haven't had enough time to get down there. It's just not what he should say. Topic 2, fact check, CNN. Top's tax rate, which I covered earlier, is 37%, not 35%. As the President of the United States, if you're going to have a tax increase, you need to know that. You got to know that. The third, when I was elected, there were only 2 million who had COVID shots in the U.S. Now that we have 190 million, 2 million to 190 million, because I went out and bought everything in sight and it worked. Okay, not the To Be Frank show, not me, CNN. Biden's 2 million assertion is inaccurate, no matter how you parse it. CNN. Trump administration bought enough vaccines for a large portion of the 190 million doses. This is just the facts. And if he just handled the facts, if he just knew the facts going in, this would be a much better presentation from the President of the United States. I got to get to this. This hurts me that I'm even covering this to the level that I have to cover it, If I'm going to do a news show with my good partner, Sarah, I've got to cover this stuff. And I don't want it to look like it's just strictly partisan, because it is not. We are not that kind of show. But this is unacceptable from the President of the United States. The fourth and last, and there were 10 of them. Biden said that there are over 800,000 sites in the U.S. that exist for vaccines. Well, CNN fact check, there's 80,000. He only missed it by 720,000 sites. I just, Sarah, I don't know. That was really not fun to do.
Yeah.
You know, I know that if you're at Fox or you're one of the Republicans, man, you're throwing a party. But you have to point out the obvious here. I mean, the obvious is that cognitively he doesn't look.
He's not there.
Well, at one point, which I didn't want to show because it's just too much. Anybody who's been to the port of Los Angeles knows Long Beach is right down the road. Long Beach is one of the most active ports in the world. Okay, he didn't know Long Beach. In the town hall, Sarah, they had to tell him when he was struggling with the other port other than Los Angeles that it was Long Beach. And I don't blame the moderator. I don't blame CNN. You got to bail him out. I would have done it.
Yeah.
But this is the problem that we're having, is that we see in this country a lot of things slipping away, and we see a president that cognitively, and he's a nice guy, you know, he wants to be, wholesome, and he wants to be folksy, and he wants to be all that. I don't dislike this man.
Sure.
But, I mean, Anderson Cooper had to tell him. He had to tell him.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, it's Long Beach.
Well, and Anderson Cooper is a sharp guy. You know, I might not always agree with everything he reports on or how he reports, but he's a smart man. He's sharp. And I think that this must have been kind of painful for him.
Well, if I went to the Fox fact check, it would be worse than this. And I did not want to do that to our audience.
Yeah.
Because this is a tough deal. As I said before, every American needs to be concerned about this. Leave your political persuasions over here. Everybody's got to be concerned about what's going on here.
Well, the fact that the President of the United States of America does not know a lot of these, I don't want to say basic, but the tax brackets, most people know.
There's 800,000 sites in the United States that are vaccine sites. There's 80,000.
Yeah.
I mean, you're off by 90%.
Right.
And it just goes on and it goes on. I've been to the southern border. You haven't been to the southern border.
Right.
And neither has your vice president that you put in charge of it. And I have my own feelings on that.
Right.
I believe that she had a discussion with him. Please don't do this to me. You know, I mean, that's like, again, being the captain of the Titanic, being in charge of that mess and not really doing anything about it. How do you explain it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think unfortunately, it's sad that there were that many instances that needed to be fact-checked.
I said that there needs to be more communication. That's a fact, but he didn't help himself at all. And again, I talked to all my Democratic friends. I'm in the middle. I'm an independent. They all were cringing after the town hall because he doesn't explain himself very well, and he gets facts mixed up,
and he trips over his words a lot. And I'm not saying that anyone else doesn't.
Hey, look, Trump would get in these news conferences, and he would say stuff that wasn't even close. Okay,
right.
So look, we're not defending Donald Trump, the Republicans, or anything. Trump had his own issues, but right now he's in Florida playing golf. I mean, we've got the President of the United States who's...
People chose this person over him.
That's right. Yeah. And they chose him, and he's a duly elected president. The problem is he just isn't doing a great job.
Well, no, not at all. And I think that I think this town hall proves the reason why the communication is so poor from him, why the frequency of the communication, I should say, is so poor from him, and we're running into these issues where he's not answering questions because of the town hall.
But when he's answering them, though, they don't even tie together with the relevance on the ground. So, all right, that's the Unplugged, and let us know on the website what you think. Again, if you're a Democrat, we're not trying to pick on the president. It just, these are things that have to be said.